I ran 5 different germination methods side by side on peach, plum, cherry, apricot, and almond pits, and the results were so lopsided that one method alone accounted for almost every single seedling that came up, while an entire method I hear recommended constantly online gave me nothing but rot and wasted months. If you've been guessing which technique actually works, or you've been following advice from a random comment section without any real testing behind it, this video is going to save you an entire growing season. Before I break down exactly what I did and what won, if you want real tested results instead of recycled advice on growing peaches, plums, cherries, apricots, and almonds, hit that subscribe button right now, because every week I run these kinds of side-by-side comparisons on my own trees, so you don't have to waste your own seeds finding out the hard way. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's get into the results. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 separate germination methods I tested at the exact same time, using pits from the exact same batch of fruit, so the comparison is as fair as possible. You'll see exactly which method produced the fastest sprouting, which one had the highest survival rate, and which one completely failed no matter how carefully I followed the instructions. By the end of this video, you're going to know precisely which method to use for your own pits, and just as importantly, which popular methods you should stop wasting your time on. Let me start with why I even decided to run this experiment in the first place, because I think a lot of growers, especially newer ones, run into the exact same confusion I did years ago. If you search online for how to germinate a peach pit or a cherry stone, you're going to find at least 5 or 6 completely different methods, and every single one of them is presented like it's the only correct way to do it. Some people swear by planting the whole pit straight into the ground outdoors in fall and just letting nature handle it. Some people insist on the wet paper towel method in a plastic bag in the fridge. Others push soaking the pits in water for days before doing anything else. Some growers swear by direct sowing into pots with no cold treatment at all, just warmth and patience. And then there's the group that insists you need to crack the shell first, no matter what method you use afterward. With that much conflicting advice floating around, I figured the only honest way to settle it, at least for my own climate and my own growing setup, was to stop reading opinions and just run the actual test myself. The common mistake I see growers make, and honestly one I made myself early on, is committing to just one method based on a single article or video, without understanding that different methods have wildly different success rates depending on the fruit type, the freshness of the pit, and how the pit is prepared before the method even begins. I've watched people follow the exact same instructions to the letter and get completely different results. And it's not because the instructions were wrong, it's because they were testing one method in isolation without any comparison. So they had no idea whether a different approach would have worked better, faster, or with less effort. That's exactly the gap I wanted to close with this experiment. Now let's get into the actual science behind why these methods even produce different results in the first place, because understanding this is going to make the rest of this video click into place. Peach, plum, cherry, apricot, and almond seeds are all part of the prunus family, and they all share a built-in dormancy mechanism designed to stop them from sprouting at the wrong time of year. In nature, that dormancy is broken by a combination of cold exposure over winter, moisture fluctuation, and physical weathering of the hard shell surrounding the seed. Every germination method that actually works is really just a different way of recreating those exact conditions, and every method that fails is usually missing one of those 3 pieces. Direct outdoor planting in fall works because it lets nature handle cold exposure and shell weathering on its own timeline. But it's slow and unpredictable because you can't control temperature swings or excess moisture from rain. The fridge stratification method works because it gives you precise control over cold duration and moisture, which is why it tends to be more consistent. Water soaking alone, without any cold treatment, does almost nothing for dormancy because temperature, not moisture, is the trigger that breaks it, which is exactly why that method struggles. Understanding this one principle, that cold is the real trigger and moisture is just the support system, tells you almost everything you need to know about why some of these methods succeeded and others didn't. So here's exactly how I set up the experiment, and I want to walk you through this in detail so you can replicate it yourself if you want to verify these results in your own growing conditions. Step 1 was sourcing the pits. I used peach, plum, cherry, apricot, and almond pits all harvested from fully tree-ripened fruit within the same week, so freshness and maturity were as consistent as possible across all 5 fruit types. I split each fruit type into 5 equal batches of 10 pits each, giving me 50 pits per method and 250 pits total across the entire experiment. Every single pit was washed clean of fruit flesh immediately after removal, because leftover sugar residue is one of the biggest causes of mold contamination, regardless of which method you're using. Step 2 was assigning each batch to one of the 5 methods. Method 1 was direct outdoor planting, where I buried the pits about 2 inches deep directly into garden soil in late fall, letting natural winter cold and moisture do the work with zero intervention from me. Method 2 was the classic fridge stratification method, where I placed the pits in sealed bags with slightly damp peat moss and stored them in the refrigerator at a consistent 36 to 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Method 3 was the water soak method, where pits were soaked in room temperature water for 72 hours, changing the water daily with no cold treatment involved at all, then planted directly into pots afterward. Method 4 was the cracked shell plus fridge stratification method, where I cracked the outer shell using pliers before placing the seeds into the same damp peat moss and fridge setup as Method 2. And Method 5 was the warm indoor pot method, where pits were planted directly into potting soil and kept indoors near a sunny window at a consistent 70 degrees Fahrenheit, with no cold exposure and no cracking at all, which is honestly the method most beginners default to, without even realizing it skips the most important step. Step 3 was monitoring. I checked every single batch once a week, tracking mold development, shell splitting, root emergence, and eventually shoot emergence above soil, and I kept detailed notes on the exact day each milestone happened for every batch. This part matters because a lot of people who compare methods casually only check in occasionally, and they miss the early signs that tell you whether a method is working or failing weeks before you'd notice it, just by looking at the surface of the soil. Step 4 was giving every method a fair and equal time frame before drawing conclusions. I didn't want to declare a winner after just a few weeks because some fruit types naturally take longer than others regardless of method. So I let this experiment run a full 6 months from start to finish, tracking everything from initial pit preparation all the way through to seedlings reaching at least 4 inches tall with true leaves, which is generally considered the point where a young prunus seedling has cleared the riskiest early stage of its life. Now let me walk you through what actually happened with each method, fruit by fruit, because the results genuinely surprised me in a few places. Starting with Method 1, the direct outdoor fall planting. This method eventually worked, but it was slow and inconsistent. Out of the 50 pits planted this way across all 5 fruit types, only 22 ended up sprouting by the 6-month mark, and germination timing was all over the place, some sprouting within 4 months, others taking the full 6 months and likely needing even longer. Cherries performed the worst in this method, with only 2 out of 10 sprouting, while almonds performed the best, with 6 out of 10 coming up. The biggest issue with this method was moisture control. Several pits rotted after a particularly wet stretch of winter weather, and a few others were dug up and eaten by squirrels before they ever got the chance to sprout, which is a real risk with outdoor planting that people rarely mention. Method 2, the classic fridge stratification without cracking the shell, performed noticeably better. 31 out of 50 pits sprouted, and the timing was far more consistent, with most fruit types beginning to show root emergence somewhere between 60 and 90 days into the cold treatment. Peaches and plums did particularly well here, both hitting 7 out of 10 successful sprouts, while cherries again lag behind slightly at 4 out of 10, likely because cherry pits have a notably harder shell that resists moisture penetration even during extended cold treatment. This method was reliable and low effort, but it clearly still had room for improvement. Method 3, The water soak with no cold treatment was honestly the biggest disappointment of the entire experiment, and I want to be direct about this because I know a lot of people online recommend this method as a shortcut. Out of 50 pits, only 3 sprouted, all of them almonds, and even those 3 took an unusually long time and produced weak, slow-growing seedlings compared to seedlings from other methods. This result lines up exactly with the science we talked about earlier, since soaking addresses moisture but does absolutely nothing to satisfy the seed's cold requirement. So the vast majority of these pits simply sat there dormant despite being fully hydrated, and several of them eventually molded and rotted from sitting in warm water and then warm soil for an extended period without ever breaking dormancy. Method 4. The cracked shell combined with fridge stratification is where things got really interesting, and I'll tell you now, this is the method that ultimately won the entire experiment. Out of 50 pits prepared this way, 44 sprouted successfully, and the timing was dramatically faster than any other method, with the majority of pits showing visible root emergence within just 30 to 45 days of cold treatment, roughly half the time it took method 2 to produce similar results. Every single fruit type performed well here, including cherries, which had struggled in every other method, coming in at 7 out of 10 successful sprouts, by far their best performance across the entire experiment. This told me clearly that the hard shell, not the dormancy period itself, was the biggest bottleneck for the harder-shelled fruits like cherries, and once that physical barrier was addressed directly, the cold stratification process was able to do its job far more efficiently. Method 5, the warm indoor pot method, with no cold treatment and no cracking, performed almost as poorly as the water soak method, with only 5 out of 50 pits sprouting, and those 5 took an extremely long time, in some cases over 5 months, which strongly suggests they were unusually low dormancy outliers rather than a sign that the method itself has any real merit. This confirms something I've said before and will keep saying. Warmth alone simply cannot substitute for the cold exposure these seeds are biologically programmed to require, no matter how ideal the temperature or lighting conditions are otherwise. Let me paint the actual picture for you here, because I want you to really visualize the difference between these methods, the way I saw it happen in real time. Picture 2 trays sitting side by side in my growing area at around the 60-day mark. On the left, you've got method 2, the standard fridge stratification without cracking. And when I open those bags, maybe a third of the pits are showing the faintest hint of a crack starting to form naturally along the seam, with just a couple of tiny white root tips barely visible. On the right, you've got method 4, the cracked shell version, and when I open those bags at the exact same 60-day mark, almost every single pit already has a visible root, several of them a full half-inch to an inch long already, thick, healthy, and clearly ready for planting. The difference isn't subtle, it's immediate and obvious just from a visual side-by-side comparison, and that visual gap only got wider as the weeks went on. By the time I was planting the method 4 seedlings into individual pots, the method 2 batch was still mostly sitting there with cracked shells and short roots, trailing behind by what ended up being roughly 3 to 4 full weeks on average. I want to pause here and ask you something, because your growing conditions might be different from mine, and I'm genuinely curious. In the comments below, tell me which method you've personally tried before. Just type the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, based on the methods I just described, and let me know if your results matched what I found, or if your climate gave you something completely different. I read through these, and it genuinely helps me plan future experiments based on what methods you're all actually using out there. Now let's get into the golden tip, because there's one detail from this experiment that I haven't seen discussed anywhere else, and it made a real measurable difference in my results. When I cracked the shells for method 4, I didn't crack every single pit with the exact same amount of force or in the exact same spot. And after the experiment was done, I went back through my notes and noticed something. The pits I cracked along the natural seam, that raised ridgeline running down the side of the pit, had a noticeably higher success rate and faster root emergence than the ones I cracked off to the side or on the flatter face of the pit. out of the pits cracked precisely along that seam, the success rate was close to 90%, but pits cracked elsewhere on the shell dropped down closer to 70%, and I suspect this is because the seam is actually the weakest point in the shell's structure, the same point where the shell naturally wants to split open on its own during germination anyway. So when you're cracking your pits, don't just clamp down anywhere. Take a moment to actually find that raised seam line running along the pit and apply your pressure right there. It takes maybe 5 extra seconds of attention, and based on what I tracked in this experiment, it could be the difference between a shell that opens cleanly and lets the seedling emerge easily versus one that fights against a poorly placed crack the entire way through. Before we wrap up, I want to run through the common mistakes I either made myself during this experiment or watched happen in real time across these different batches, because avoiding these will save you a lot of frustration. Mistake number 1 was not tracking dates and progress consistently, especially early on with method 1, the outdoor planting, since I initially wasn't checking in as often and lost some early data points I wish I had. Mistake number 2 was applying too much force when cracking shells on the smaller pits, particularly cherries and apricots, which are more delicate than peach or plum pits, and I did crush 2 cherry seeds completely in the early stages before adjusting my technique and pressure. Mistake number 3 was letting the water soak method run in warm ambient room temperature rather than cooler water, which likely contributed to the rot I saw in that batch. Though based on the science we discussed, I don't believe cooler water alone would have saved that method, since it still lacks any real cold stratification period. Mistake number 4 was inconsistent checking of the fridge bags, since a couple of weeks I let 2 full weeks pass instead of my usual 1-week check-in. And that's exactly when I found early mold starting to form on a couple of the plum pits in method 2. Mold that likely would have been caught and addressed a full week earlier with more consistent monitoring. And mistake number 5, which really applies to anyone trying to replicate an experiment like this, is not being patient enough with the direct outdoor method, since a lot of growers give up on outdoor planted pits after just 2 or 3 months of nothing visible happening above the soil. When in my experience, it can genuinely take the full winter season plus several additional weeks into spring before you see any real results from that particular approach. So if you're taking one thing away from this entire experiment, let it be this: cracking the shell before cold stratification isn't just a nice extra step. Based on everything I tracked across 250 pits and 5 fruit types, it's genuinely the single biggest factor separating a germination method that works reliably from one that leaves you waiting months for disappointing, inconsistent results. Growing your own peach, plum, cherry, apricot, and almond trees from pits doesn't have to be a gamble, and now you've got real tested data behind exactly which approach gives you the best odds, instead of just another opinion floating around the internet. If this breakdown helped you cut through the confusion and saved you from wasting pits on a method that clearly doesn't hold up, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you catch every future experiment I run, because I've got several more comparisons planned that I think you're going to find just as useful. In the next video, I'm taking these exact seedlings from method 4, the winning method, and showing you the full transplanting process from starter pots into the ground, including the specific hardening off schedule I use to prevent transplant shock, which is honestly where a lot of otherwise perfectly healthy seedlings end up dying if it's rushed. Stay subscribed, keep that notification bell on, and I'll see you in the next one.